So there are quite a few videos, well, not really a lot of videos, but there are some videos handling the efforts of removing a Ducato injector set. Um, they are problematic, essentially because rainwater gets in through the windshield. It's passed underneath the windshield thingy here, and in this crack, and it lands inside of this. It gets collected on top of this air intake for the interior, and it lands directly on top of the engine. And essentially what happens then is it gathers all inside of this. It's too early in the morning for this stuff. It gathers all inside of here, and there's no way out. I mean, there's supposed to be a hole right there. Let's say that this is the left passenger side. The engine mount is right there. The whole engine kind of sags towards the middle. It's not ideally designed, but this is a relatively reliable engine for the fact that it's badly designed like this. But what happened with the early Iveco Ducato models was that water would gather in there and it could cause corrosion after it would get past the seals. We have some seals. This is a good injector, but they have a metal ring on top. So I don't know what they were thinking by that, but essentially the metal ring corrodes and the rubber at the bottom doesn't really do anything after that. So when installing them, the best thing to do is coat them with a copious amount of copper paste or some sort of ceramic paste so that they can get removed easily. What the problems that I had were that essentially that you can see there, galled up ring. The problem that I had was that two of them came out without a problem. Those are the ones with the relatively clean threads at the top, and two of them had to go through some nasty modification, making them unusable for future projects, which is sad because a new single one of these costs, I think the list price is 600 euros. You can get them refurbished for better. You can refurbish them yourself, which is probably cheaper. But to do that, you have to get them out safely without damaging any of the threads. Which in this case, it just wasn't happening. I had some, I would say, really good mechanics who have some good tricks up their sleeves on how to remove this stuff, and we're talking about massive efforts, and they said get a new head, get a new motor. So I went to town on these puppies, and I just welded I think that's a Golf wheel from one of the Golf variations, a Golf wheel nut onto there. I had to weld it really good, as you can see. Some of them, it didn't, yeah, anyway, got it out. One of them I got out completely, and I took out all of the insides that I could get out from the top first. The rest of the stuff you can take off from the bottom, but it's not really, that injector's not going to be reused for anything. So yeah, the whole point was of this short comment was that you can get them out. What I did learn from getting them out by pure brute force torque was don't wiggle them back and forth. If you wiggle them back and forth, essentially you will break off these little pins at the bottom. So there's like a tight thread, a very thin walled thread right here that holds the lower end of the injector onto the top housing, and it'll break off. It'll shear off exactly like what we see here. And there's two locating pins inside of there to essentially stop that from happening. But sorry, right there on the dark sides. But that didn't happen. So what I was told is that you wiggle them back and forth like that, and then you'll be able to somehow knock them out. And it just didn't happen like that. With this one, I had to turn it. I only turned it clockwise. Clockwise, yeah, clockwise. So clockwise essentially does not loosen the thread down here, and by not loosening the thread down there, you'll get the tip out, which is, so this is the lower part. The lower part right here is the part that actually gets stuck. It's where all the crud and stuff over engine vibration, with engine vibration over the years, it all gets stuck down here. You see this one, the good one, you can still see the copper paste on it. Somebody actually did that, but this one is just black steel, and that's gonna corrode against the aluminum, and it's gonna give a really nice tight fit. You can see right there on the corner. I didn't touch this thing with the tool, but either somebody had refurbished them at some point in time before this was mine, or that is a sign of where it got bashed against the engine over the years. Focus. Anyway, you can get them out. If you do have to weld something onto it, don't wiggle the shit back and forth. Wiggle it in a clockwise direction. No, then it's not wiggling. It's just torque it in a clockwise direction. And at some point in time, let's go back and let's show you on the housing top. Well, basically they go in like so, yeah. And this is the front of the engine. This is the back of the engine. And when they sit in there, this is not exactly. It's not all the way in there. Still need to clean that out a little bit. You can't turn them all the way around. See, I mean, that's not even in all the way, but you can't turn them all the way around. They knock up against the housing. As you can see here, these were the two problematic ones that I got out. So what I had to do was knock that nose off. If you knock that nose off, you'll be able to turn it 360. Try and get it nice and flat. Use a good sharp chisel as much as you can, and even then, it's still not gonna be enough. You're gonna scratch your housing a little bit, but don't let that stop you from getting those out. In a worst case scenario, do wiggle them back and forth. The worst thing that can happen is that the tips break off, and you have to take out the whole engine to replace it, to smack out those tips and do a lapping process and make sure everything in the engine's fine. With mine, what I realized was that there was a spring missing in one of the valves, and we had a good morning. We had here's the spring. So I was really careful when removing this, so that I didn't lose any of the wedges. But as you can see, the spring is shot. So I ordered a new spring and a new wedge, because I was missing one. And of course, yeah, replace all of them. But if you do replace all of them, you can just replace the whole head with a brand new valve train and everything, new springs, new everything. You even get the bolts with it for like $800. So it's not really worth it to go through. If this happens, take the head off. Already have ordered a new one. It'll cost you $800-900, and put it on there. And once you put it on there, it's send the other one back off for refurbishing, and you're good to go.